Why do you think it's harder than ever to get young people to enlist?
Well, there is a lot of studies out there at the moment talking about the millennial and Gen Z decline in nationalism, patriotism, and desire to serve. That's something that we really need to overcome to increase the size of the Defence Force and to meet those vacancies that we're currently carrying. One of those things that I get told when I'm around the circuit in front of young recruit age people, and I lecture at the University of Sydney, I lecture at the University of New South Wales, and I run our drone racing teams. That puts me out in front of kids, thousands of them every year. One of the things that's at the top of that list every time I talk to them is cost of living and housing affordability. So I think we can use that to open a conversation about careers in defence.
Yeah, so you floated the idea of housing assistance and perhaps assistance towards that deposit for a home. You have personal experience with another military scheme drawing on that housing assistance in 2002. What was your experience?
Yeah, so as a junior officer in 2002, I was posted with my family up in Townsville, and back then the median house price in Australia was $320,000, and in Townsville you could buy a place for under $100 in 2002. So back then the home purchase assistance scheme, that was worth $12,000. And $12,000 on a $77,000 house was a huge difference. It really made a difference to me and my family to buy that house. Now, that scheme still exists, and that's one of the reasons I've pitched this idea. We don't even have to come up with a new scheme. We just need to re-energise it. It's only $17,000 in 2024, and it's been fixed there for 24 years, for the last decade or so. And, if we just brought that up to pace with the current market, and the median housing price is now $960,000. If we brought that up to be competitive with the housing market, I think that would be the kind of incentive that we could put in front of young people to say, hey, look, come in, join. After a certain amount of years, we'll give a really useful chunk of money to help you get into that housing market.
And how much by? What's the figure you're looking at?
Well, look, I haven't optimised it. I'm not an economist. I'm not an expert. But I think the number 50 is something that we pushed into the newspaper the other day. 50,000 would cover your stamp duty in most cases at an entry-level house. But what's really great about the scheme, though, is, I talked about patriotism, nationalism, sense of pride in the nation. If you buy your house, you're invested, you're enfranchised, you've got a stake in the nation if you are a house owner. And I think that can make a really big difference to not only the kids that we want to have them consider coming into defence, but once you're in defence, being really proud of that role that you're doing, being proud of your service and knowing you've got something to defend.
And on that note, the ADF has been the subject of a fair bit of negative news over the recent years. How much of a role is that playing? And beyond financial incentives, what about the hearts and minds? Does the ADF sort of need a new PR campaign? And what would that look like?
I think the answer is yes. And look, those investigations, royal commissions, they're all really, really important. They needed to be had. Veteran suicide, veteran support, post-career, the role of our cadet organisation in the commission into youth organisations, all of that needed to be investigated and those cases need to be drawn out. And that's the reason there's so much negativity out there at the moment. What really needs to happen, though, is defence and even all the way up to government, perhaps through a new PR campaign, they really need to get on the front foot about positive aspects, because I can tell you hands down as a 28-year serving veteran, the vast majority of ADF personnel have amazing careers in the Australian Defence Force, and they come out mentally healthy, they come out able to transition into a civilian role, with great skills, great training, great experiences. But we're not telling that story at the moment. The story that's being told is a story of negativity, thanks to the cases that do happen about mental health and support. But we really need to get on the front foot and tell everybody that the ADF is a place to have an amazing career still, with great opportunities.